listeners, and welcome back to Top Shelf Disney Animation Studios Library, the podcast where we watch all the Disney Animated Studios films, all 55, and depending upon when you listen to this, 6 movies on the list. I'm actually going to go through and record different numbers, so that way, and I'll just keep replacing it every time there's a new movie that comes out.
You're listening to the next episode in the 57 episodes that we have available to you.
Man, that's an excessive amount of work. I'm not going to remember that. I'm Jeff, and then over there, who's continuously humoring me all 46 episodes we've done so far, is TC. Hello, TC.
Hello, Jeff. Good to be back. Here we are. Another movie to talk about. Another Disney animated movie in this very specific library, from Snow White to Moana most currently, or Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, if you're listening then, or, I don't know, Frozen 2, what comes after that? I don't know.
Dang nabbit, TC, we're going to have to be recording a lot of insert titles for this episode for future. Why did we pigeonhole ourselves in this way, TC?
I don't know.
I don't know why we did that.
It's the commitment we bring to the listeners every week, except the weeks we skip off because we're just not there. We have lives too.
It's a commitment that we're kind of there for, but not entirely.
95%. 95%.
Yes. I feel like a 95% commitment is a oxymoron.
Doesn't it feel like...
Because it's not... Commitment feels like it should be 100%. Doesn't matter. You know what? It is 100%.
What?
The movie we watched this week, but that's not the rating. That was just fact that we watched a movie this week.
Like it's 100% certain we watched a movie, not that you're rating 100%. Terrible segue, but what was the name of that movie? Wait, can we like rally out of this? Hold on a second. Not 100% commitment. It's like we have a very dysfunctional commitment to this, a dysfunctional relationship, like a father and son who don't quite see eye to eye, like the movie we watched this week, which was...
This is why TC stuck around. The movie Chicken Little, everybody, from 2005, our first fully CG film on our list of films that we are watching.
Fully CG. Someone did try to correct us on
CG.
that. I got a tweet from listeners saying, "Oh, Dinosaur is fully CG. Those were real backgrounds."
Right.
So.
And there were some scenes in there that were fully CG,
Yes,
but most of the backgrounds were live action. And that's where it's the one major differentiating factor. Words are not my strong
But
suit.
you know what? Speaking of percentiles, this is only like 99.9% CG because there's that tiny little clip of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders. Which I saw that. Okay, so I saw that in the beginning, and immediately my head went back to Lilo and Stitch, and I went, wait a minute, what's
happening?
What's happening? Because the theory about Lilo and Stitch being that it was a movie that took place in our actual world, and that is why there was the live action Elvis and the B movie from the 1950s playing in it. That theory completely goes out the window in this movie because these are all anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah, I don't know what the logic is. I made a note of it after... what did I have here? That was the Indiana Jones moment. Darth Vader was Luke's father was referenced, which I suppose they could have an animal version of Star Wars in the universe. And then they also referenced Streisand records. But I guess there could be I'm just thinking this now. I did not write this down. But a sheep version of Barbra Streisand named Baba Streisand.
Okay. See that TC.
Yeah.
That I like.
That's okay.
Now,
okay.
Here, I'm okay with that. Okay. So watching this movie, and this is going to come back to what you just said. I think that would have been the direction they should have gone with this movie. I feel like instead of this movie, which by the way, this movie wasn't nearly as good as I remember it being.
Okay, that's funny because you'd seen it once before, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And I'd seen it once before. You're saying it wasn't as good as you remembered it. I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I liked it more or less than... Anyway, continue. So you're saying... You continue.
But so we've discussed numerous times about like tonal inconsistencies and just plot inconsistencies and why do they do this and why do they do that. I feel like this movie, because they were developing this world of anthropomorphic animals, this is just a world where these animals live, where there is there is an ugly duckling character. You know, like that's a thing. That's a woman, voiced by Joan Cusack, which is like perfect casting. Not saying Joan Cusack's ugly, just like she's got the right voice that character just looks right.
Right.
Anyways, we'll talk about the actors and the voice acting later. But it feels like it's a film where it's like, oh, this is a world where animals just are, but then you're trying to implement live action and real world stuff into it, which just does not make sense.
Yeah,
it would have made
the Raiders of the Lost Ark
more
moment in particular really jumps out. But yeah, you're saying
yeah, because not even if it wasn't the fact that it was live action in the middle of the CG film, why is it a human?
Right? Yeah,
Like
they should.
Why wasn't he a dog?
It would have simply worked if they had animated it. Like honestly, like that's a moment where if they had done like a 2D DuckTales looking animation style on the movie screen, but it was like Raiders of the Lost Bark and it's a dog, and
see,
like that would have worked.
The dog's name was Indiana.
Oh, it works. Where were we?
Works, totally.
Where were we in 2005 when they released this movie? We could have.
I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, TC, we were not writing a film that should have taken place in 1997.
No, that's true. Is that when it takes
like
place?
This movie. No. But all the jokes are references to the early to mid 90s.
Yeah, let's talk about the
we're jumping around. I apologize.
It's fine. No, we're tangenting like perfectly logical tangents here. And you talk about the tonal inconsistency. We've seen more tonally inconsistent films. That's
true.
That's very fair. But there is just that slight. It slows down just a little too much when it gets to those tender moments between father and son. Like those moments slow down just a little too much when you compare it to the joke, visual gag that is the first 10-15 minutes of this 10 minutes of this movie.
Right.
Which that opening sequence through town is just like it goes all the way back. It reminds me of all the way back to Snow White. When Walt would give people bonuses, he would give rewards. He's like, come up with a gag, a visual gag. If it makes it into the movie, you get a bonus. It's a little reward for you. And I feel like that whole opening sequence where there's just you could watch that sequence multiple times. Watch the background. There's every joke anyone could possibly think of is in there. You got something as simple as like a goat. Like it's a very Flintstones joke, but using a goat to mow the lawn. But then you got something a little more subtle with like the bird hitting the glass on the china shop, and then a bull comes out and and wipes the window, like a bull that runs a china shop. That's okay. That's a funny little bit right there. And like there's that whole opening sequence through town and all those gags. It's just one after another, and then the tonal inconsistency comes when it slows down for what is essentially the plot of the thematic plot between father and son.
Right, which my biggest thing that I had noticed while watching it this time around, because I knew kind of what happened, though I'm not going to lie, completely forgot about the alien subplot. Completely.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, when the alien showed up, I went, oh yeah, that's right. There's an alien invasion that happens in this movie, but like. I'm watching the film. I'm paying attention to the story, and I'm paying attention to the way, because that's, as this podcast has gone along, that's unfortunately what I pay attention to the most while watching these films. I pay attention to the story. I pay the plot, how it flows, how it go from one to another. And I'm watching this one, and I'm realizing, I'm like, this is about 7 different movies combined into one. They have plot threads and elements that would have made up an entire film. Yeah,
maybe 7 is being a little hyperbolic, but you're not. It does have a little bit like it does have an inconsistency when you look at like, okay, it's a father trying to impress his son. Oh, but there's also aliens.
There's also aliens, but you also have the school kid trying to fit in at school,
right? Yeah,
and being the outcast at school. So you kind of have the whole like John Hughes. Well, you even kind of not John Hughes love story, but you have the whole cliche school kid as the outcast and doesn't fit in. But yeah, the whole father son bonding story plot, or that plot line is its own. That's, what is it? My father the house, or my son the house? What is the Kevin Kline, Hayden Christensen?
Life is a house.
Life is a house. That's it. Wow, my father is a house. Everybody, that's
well, the house does represent him, and wait, let's do a different podcast about that one. There's also a sports movie in here when you consider the baseball montage.
Right, like that's what I was watching this movie, and I'm like, every 10 minutes we're in a different movie. It's like they couldn't decide what movie they wanted to tell, so they just said, let's do it all.
Yeah,
you know?
that kind of speaks to the speed of this movie and just throwing everything. They're just throwing everything up there, and it's similar to what we get a lot nowadays in even something like Family Guy, or if you're looking at television comedies, or even some of the animated movies that are being released, non-Pixar movies, where, or even some of the, I'm even go as far as say non-Disney movies, but it's like, keep the jokes coming so fast that if one doesn't work, there's one right around the corner that's going to work. And
Right.
you get a lot of duds like that. And I shouldn't even limit that to animation. That's just comedy in general. A lot of mainstream comedy movies and television kind of work on that logic of like, we need a joke every second to fifth sentence. Every like 30 seconds there needs to be a visual gag on the screen. And if one doesn't work, there's another one that's going to. And rewatching this movie after all these years, I could feel that, because if a joke landed like a brick hitting the ground and I'd roll my eyes at something, real quickly after there'd be one that would work. For example, off the top of my head, when Runt is freaking out in the spaceship and they're like, just do what you do to calm down, and he starts like, staying alive. Like, okay, not funny. But then it comes to him
Right.
like doing the plastic, the paper bag, and he's like, and when he puts the 2 up to his mouth, and it's 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, that's a good funny visual gag. So I can forgive your bad staying alive joke, because
Right.
the paper bag joke worked really well. And there's a lot of that in the movie where it's like fish out of water. I'd say half of his visual gags work really well, because you have a pantomiming character who has no language, and so he's a lot
Right.
of visual jokes. The King Kong on the tower, like the paper tower, okay, that joke doesn't quite land. But then when he has the hexagon that he keeps making his face, and then he like makes his legs and he's like dancing around with it. Okay, well then that does work.
Right. It's such a weird, like, and I feel like I almost wonder if, because it was their first fully CG animated film, they're just like, whatever, we just have to make sure that people laugh at some point.
Right.
So like, just keep throwing whatever anybody's gonna, no, just fine, just do it, just make a joke here, make a joke there.
Well,
people are gonna laugh eventually. We want to make sure that, because I mean, because obviously for Disney, obviously they already had been releasing the Pixar films, but Pixar was still not a part of the company at this point.
Right.
But and so this I feel like this was a gamble for Disney, because it was definitely not what Disney has been doing. Disney has not been doing CG animated films themselves.
No.
Ever. This is their first one. Again, not including Dinosaur, but it's like, it's really their first one, and I bet there was probably a very nervous, just like an apprehensive nature to the entire production of this film, because they didn't know if it was going to work or not.
Yeah, and to compete, they've had their most competition in DreamWorks' existence at this point, right? And you have
Right.
something like Armin, who does the claymation with like Chicken Run and the Wallace and Gromit movies, a subsidiary of DreamWorks, much like Pixar is to Disney. And the competition was Ice Age had come out at this point, so we're looking at a much stronger field of animation that they're competing in. And a little background on this movie, digging around and looking at the history of Disney, especially in this era, this started as a 2D animated film. They were about halfway through production of the movie when they decided the 2D is done, we need to turn this into a CG movie, which is insane that they basically balked on this movie and started over animating it.
Right.
Going so far as they had the Chicken Little was female when they initially started this movie. Holly Hunter, who was the voice of Elastigirl, she was the main character. She recorded all the dialogue for months. Recorded all the Chicken Little's dialogue, and she was, as they moved to CG, they also moved to more action. They kept adding more and more action to this, and I don't know. I should have written it down, who the head of Disney Animation was at this point, because we're 2 away from Katzenberg now. He pushed from the get-go, or at least the higher-ups pushed from the get-go, that Chicken Little should be a boy. So as soon as they made the decision to go from 2D to CGI, that was that was a good moment to go, cool, now we can make him a boy instead of a girl. And I don't know what the logic is behind that. Maybe someone was like, hey, one for the boys, one for the girls. We just did Home on the Range. Cows are ladies. Now we got one for the boys, right?
Yeah, because you know what? That makes total sense.
But it's another one of those movies that
Yeah.
somewhere in the vault, somewhere in the archives of Disney, there is the never to be released, yet to this day, what the movie was before. It's like the Hidden Kingdom, or Kingdom of the Sun. Like, we will probably never see that released. And there's another movie that's coming down the line here that was nearly done when they decided to recast the main character's voice. And that's so fascinating to me that is a business decision. Seriously, had to be based on numbers. To switch to CG, to make it a boy, to make it more action based, to slam it with so many jokes. I wonder what it was, but we'll never know. Instead, we got what we got, and that's what we're reviewing today.
Right. It would have been very interesting to have seen what a 2D version of this film would have been.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, like, is it more of the tone of like or more of the visual tone of like House on the Range, or Home on the Range? Home on the Range? My goodness,
Yeah.
I've already forgotten.
Home on the
last
Range.
week's movie. I don't know if you guys haven't listened to last week's episode. For some reason, if you're coming into the show now, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, please do, because that was a blast. Anyway, that was a fun time I had. Though somebody else had pointed out the fact that I might very well had destroyed somebody's favorite comfort movie last week.
Oh no!
And I went, oh,
There's going to be fans out there.
Tears.
I glanced at our comment section. I didn't get a good look at the comments because we'll get to that much later. But there's some love and hate coming from the comments and the tweets.
Oh well.
Well, going into CGI to make that decision halfway through, someone posted, I think it was Wyatt on our Facebook page, facebook.com/TopShelfPod, had posted about what the advent of CGI animated films lent towards the narrative, towards the thematic narratives that Disney and film companies were able to tackle, as opposed to what they did in the past with fairy tales and 2D. I don't necessarily think it's the 2D to CG changeover that changed the narrative of what's in movies. I can see it as a little way because it's in a way, if you have the assets, it's easier to world build, right? And once you create an asset, then you can look at it three-dimensionally and just pop it and drop it into places. And it's a credit to companies like Pixar, and yes, I'll even give credit to some of the DreamWorks movies, that even if you have the ease of being able to take an asset and move around it and pop it in and right there, you don't treat the movies like paper dolls. Like, okay, just slap this on, slap it up, boom. We get plenty of those movies. Like, there are plenty of those types of animated movies that come out now.
Right.
But to go into CG and make more broader storytelling, to move into more broader, more relatable subjects, I guess, because you move away from, we're not in a fantasy realm anymore, and we're dealing with more, I guess, realistic subjects. Parent and a child having a difficult time relating to each other, and the fantasies lent themselves to more fantasy ideas like finding true love, or finding one's true self. Now that, it's not like a clear cut division between CG and 2D and thematically, because I think just cinematically, Disney and other companies, but Disney in particular, they tread this ground so much, the fantasy realm, the Once Upon a Time, even bashing the openings of their movies for the opening of this movie. Like, okay, how do we begin? Once Upon a Time. No, everyone does Once Upon a Time. How many times have you heard Once Upon a Time? Okay, let's.
Not the book
Don't
thing.
do the book
thing. How many times have you seen that? Like, I laughed at that part. So, I did enjoy it. They even spoofed their own movie with Lion King.
What's a great way to open the movie? Oh, no, I think that's been done.
So I did enjoy that opening.
Yeah.
They were trying to like show like how we could do this. How are we gonna do it? I don't know how we're gonna do it. Let's just start from the beginning. Let's just tell the story.
So I think it's not necessarily moving into a new medium that changed how, like, what the themes and how the subjects were presented. I think it was just that we've had how many decades of the Once Upon a Time, of the fairy tales, that it's time to start having a new, fresh approach to these movies. And maybe accidentally, maybe purposefully, I think Chicken Little can be credited a little bit towards being a sneaky little forerunner to what we're going to see. Because think about the movies we've seen in this block of films. Treasure Planet,
Right.
Lilo and Stitch, for sure, is in a territory we had never seen before. Atlantis.
Right.
Like, they're still experimenting narratively with these movies. Home on the Range was...
And you could even argue stylistically, too. You have the movies we've seen just visually are very different from one to the other. They're trying different things, different elements of CG, introducing CG like fully into these films. And it's a very different artistic approaches to each one. So you can see that trying to figure out that experimenting as they go through.
Yeah, and yes, this movie does try a little too hard with some of its references, but I don't know, Jeff. Maybe you can answer this for me. Why? Yes. Not everything, because I will get angry about something in a moment. But why doesn't this movie annoy and bother me as much as something like Shrek in its references? I don't. Can you explain that to me?
With its references?
Yeah. Like, because there's certainly some references here that make me roll my eyes, and there's one thing in particular they do that I'm like mad that they did. But in general, go ahead.
No, because my big thing is that I feel like, again, just trying to go off the top of my head, with Shrek, the references that they were making were for the most part, were to things that were very much so the time it came out in. That just fully cemented it in, this was released in 2000? Yeah. Oh, you can tell because, there's a Matrix reference. Oh, there's it's that era.
And these references are already dated.
They're already dated. So the thing is that they're just like, really? They're playing they're playing Spice Girls. They're doing what were the other ones? Oh, they're doing the Alien Invasion film. I wrote down a couple of these references that they did. But like, so I wonder. Oh, the Chicken Gone Wild gag.
Yeah. Oh, those are be able to sell the Chicks Gone Wild.
Yeah, and then you have Hate Mail. Is very like those references are all 90s references. They're not even. This is 2005.
Mid
2000s. Yeah, and yes, I understand a lot of the CG films take a few years to actually be created and to be produced, just like the animated ones. But they don't take 10 years to come out. So these references are so dated that they don't cement. It's not a reflection of the time it came out, but it's more of a like nostalgia reference.
Yeah,
instead, maybe that's why it's not as bad.
Which is
as
funny,
like Shrek and some of those.
Which is funny because the era we're in now, we're definitely seeing peak 80s references, but we're already moving towards 90s nostalgia. So maybe this movie was ahead of its time in that it had 90s nostalgia a decade removed.
Yeah. And I feel like, so like me watching the film, I kind of rolled my eyes at some of these, just being like, really, why are they doing that reference? But it was more of a like inquisitive,
right? Like, well, that was an odd choice.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, we're doing a Spice Girls reference.
I think,
all right, that's cool movie.
In general, I think this actually is a good start to their CGI library.
Yeah,
it's not a. I mean, if for example, if Home on the Range had been CGI, I'd be like, wow, you guys messed up big.
Right.
It's sad that that's the last 2D one, but we get an apology for that in just a few films. But this being the first CGI film, visually, they did a very good job, and I think having Pixar in their home base, I mean, at least in their camp, helped visually make this movie work, because there's no visual stuff in here that is bad. I think that the character design is great. A lot of the textures and backgrounds are really good. I love the everything is designed with a very specific purpose, whether it's a hokey joke or like a fish car, right? A fishbowl car, or a very clever joke like a bull running a china shop. I think visually, this is a great start to their films, or to this section of what we're seeing for Disney from now on.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is right before John Lasseter became the creative officer of Disney Animation Studios. So
for the history of Disney out there, I mean, anyone listening, John Lasseter is one of the founding granddaddies of Pixar animation, the head of Pixar animation, and the director of Toy Story and Cars, and one of the most important figures in animated movies since I mentioned Glenn Keane in the past, and Don Bluth, and Walt Disney himself, even Katzenberg and Eisner. I got to give credit where credit's due. Lasseter and how he ran Pixar, he came in to the studio to run Disney Animation Studios and Pixar Animation Studios after this film, and this is the last film before Lasseter came on to be the chief creative officer is his official title. And man, one of the things he did, there's a bunch of fun little tidbits about Lasseter's. Once he came in, he's like, all right, we are going to bring Disney back to where it belongs. People need to look at Disney, see that label, and know they're going to get quality. So here, and he came in and made some power moves right away. For example, he canceled the sequel to this movie that was already in production. He's like, yeah, no more sequels, which is funny because he's broken that rule now with Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen, but I'm sure that was above his pay grade in terms of decision.
With Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen and Monsters Inc. and Cars.
Well, Pixar's a different animal. Pixar's a different animal.
That is true.
Because when Disney physically finally purchased Pixar, the deal made was 2 for us, 1 for you. So we get a couple of sequels, you can do Coco. We get a couple of sequels like Toy Story 3, 4, and Finding Dory, and you can do Inside Out. And I think that's worked out in our favor as moviegoers.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I'm not complaining at all.
But Lasseter coming into Disney, he wanted to run it slightly differently than Pixar, and one of the things is no more sequels. There was a movie that was done, right? That it was done, and he came in and he said that will not be released under the Disney label. We have other companies will release under. Touchstone hasn't released any animated movies in a while. Romeo and Juliet's going to Touchstone. We will not be putting the Disney label on that because that was a Walt Disney. That was going to be part of this library.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's not. Oh, that would have been a horrible.
He came in and was like, "Yeah, that's not happening," because they hadn't started the marketing for it yet. So he was able to make that decision.
which is going to be interesting, and obviously not getting away too far from the movie and the Chicken Little. We'll come back to it, but just like me kind of looking at the next couple of films we have on this list, and this movie. So Chicken Little came out at the end of 2005, November of 2005.
Yes.
Our next movie doesn't come out till March of 2007.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of a break.
So
here.
there is, and then it's usually one a year, and I believe it's one a year for almost the rest of the podcast.
Yes.
Actually, it's except until we get to Zootopia and Moana. But it's funny that it's like, okay, the year that he took over, there's no Disney Animation Studio films that came out. Nothing.
He came in and was making his moves.
Yep. And it's just like, we're changing things. And looking at the order of these films, you figure a man comes in 2006, movie takes 3 or 4 years to get, or maybe 3 maybe to 4 years to get made. The next movie that I could see being back to traditional Disney falls in line with that 3-year gap of all right, we're starting again, and we're getting back to what's made us good.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's hit after hit after that period. But we'll get to that.
To
when we
get back to
movie.
Chicken Little, I think something that affected this movie in their desire to try to get as many gags in there as possible to create a very unique world, which they did. There's the saying, "Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater," right? Don't try to avoid an error and then inadvertently throw out everything that works. In some ways, I fear that happened in this because I've already said something to this effect, that for everything that works, there's something that doesn't quite work.
Right.
I don't think this doesn't work as much as other movies had. Something that is I don't know how I feel about overall, but it's the soundtrack of this movie, because there are original songs that were written for this movie, and then there were pop hits that they stuck in the movie. And every time there's an original song, it falls into that line of Tarzan and Brother Bear, not to reference two Phil Collins movies, or where
you did that on purpose.
Just where like the original songs work, but then the pop songs don't. And it's not that pop songs haven't worked before, because Lilo and Stitch nailed it with using the Elvis music. Mm-hmm. To have you reference Spice Girls before, that goes on just too long is the problem, right? Like, we get it. Do you think the audience is going to be laughing this entire time, and that's why you're continuing to do the Spice Girls? Stop it, please. It's very DreamWorks of you, and I don't approve. But then you have Bare Naked Ladies and the Five for Fighting song, the All I Know.
All I Know.
Yeah.
Which, can we point out, the sad, slow, depressing song of the movie that happens 18 minutes into the film?
It's the I Want song. Think of it where it's put structurally. That would be, if this was a traditional Disney musical, that would be part of your world. That would be Go the Distance. That song works exactly. I just dropped something. Exactly. Narratively, it's put exactly where it's supposed to go. And it feels a little out of place, not as much as freaking Home on the Range, but
it feels out of place, but at the same time, it works for the scene that it's playing through. Yeah. And that's where I'm torn by it, because these songs, those songs could easily have been characters sung songs. They could have, like Chicken Little. I mean, I don't know if I could have listened to Zach Braff sing that song. I love Zach Braff, and Zach Braff will always be JD from Scrubs.
If I could touch your body, I know not everybody got a body like you. Not you, sir.
I mean, it's true. Not everybody has a body like me.
All you hear is Zach Braff. That's what you're saying.
all I hear is Zach Braff. All I hear is JD from Scrubs. That's all I hear whenever Zach Braff talks at all. All I hear is narration in my head. Yeah. and it's not a bad thing. That's just what it is. But but going back to like the songs, I'm glad that the music that is in it is used in that way. I'm glad that they are other recordings, but they record the songs that the theme of the song works for the moment of the movie that they're in, and I'm okay with that.
It doesn't yank you out of the movie.
Right. If it was completely out of place, that would be different, and I'd be like, okay, this is just wait, no, this is horrible. Now I'm distracted. Yeah, but Bare Naked Ladies, One Little Slip while Chicken Little's running through the town. I love that. I honestly. I love that song.
It's a good sequence. It's a fun song. Yeah. This would not work as a musical. There was never a moment in this where I was watching it going, I wish this was more traditional Disney classic musical. No, I did not. Right. I did not have that sense at all. Even going so far as when the characters were singing, I was like, hey, Steve Zahn, cut it out. I love you.
I like you. Yeah.
He's like my fifth cousin. But still, stop singing.
Presidential flashcards?
Yeah.
So that's a deep cut for anybody out there listening who knows what movie I'm talking about. Leave it in the comments if you know what movie I'm talking about.
Hashtag title of that movie.
Maybe that's what I need to start doing. I just need to start quoting random movies and seeing if people get what movies I'm quoting. Doesn't matter. I just gave you a hint. It's a movie. So, but yeah, like I agree that this movie would have had to been completely structurally different in order for it to be a traditional musical Disney movie. Yeah. It being this all over the place film with so many different types of movies in it, it doesn't work as a musical. No. It works better by just having these songs in place.
Yeah, and the voice actors themselves, like you said, you don't want to hear Zach Braff singing, and I don't want to hear someone who thinks they sound like Zach Braff singing, where they cast a singer voice. But the voice acting in this isn't. I think Zach Braff's a fun choice. It's weird because I don't think anyone would ever paint him as an iconic character, like JD being an iconic character from television, like comedies. But at the same time, he was nominated every year for an Emmy for Best Leading Man in a Comedy. So there's something to be said about his effect in sitcoms and his place in comedy television history.
But the voice acting in this film is good. I mean, he does do a good job. The actors who they cast in the film for all the voices, actually, it's a weird casting of people. But at the same time, I'm completely okay with everybody who does the voices that they do. The fact that Gary Marshall is the dad,
Yeah.
always throws me off because in my head, I still to this day. Gary Marshall, in my head, is not an actor. Okay,
He's a director.
He's a director. He's that's what he does. He directs. That's he created Happy Days. That's what I
Gary
picture
Marshall,
Gary
yeah.
Marshall. That's Gary Marshall. Mork and Mindy, like all the '70s
Laverne and
television
Shirley,
sitcoms. Yeah, exactly. That's Gary Marshall. And then also for those of you out there, it's the old guy who dances with the witches in Hocus Pocus. Anyways,
Deeper cut.
deep cut, man. He's the devil husband. Okay, so anyways, and that's Penny Marshall playing his wife, who's actually his daughter. It's weird. So, anyways, the weird things beside, but he does a great job in this movie as the dad. He plays a convincing. There's some of those actors out there who, when they do voice work, don't do a good job. That they're used to being on screen and maybe they can emote real well and do better when they're live action, but when they're in a room in front of a microphone, usually acting by themselves, sometimes they just don't give a good performance because they're used to playing off of other people. Gary Marshall does a great job.
Yeah,
and actually it turns out apparently Zach Braff and Gary Marshall did a lot of their recording sessions together.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's very rare, especially
Yeah.
in big features like this that the actors would perform together. That's neat. Actually, that
So,
kind of makes sense because their chemistry was quite good in this.
Right. There was you could tell there was a lot of like playing off of each other. It feels like they were just actually talking to each other, especially like I think some of the scenes in like the car where when they're driving down the road. That felt very natural. I feel like that would have been very difficult to have faked in editing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have felt as natural as if they had been in the same room. But I mean, besides those two guys, I mean, we have Joan Cusack as Abby, who I already mentioned, Steve Zahn as Runt, as the pig. But then like somebody like Don Knotts plays the mayor.
Don Knotts is the mayor.
Which it's sadly that it's the last thing he did.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. It's like Don. By the way, I'm sorry. I like the mayor character. I love that he's such a chicken, even though he's a turkey.
He's a turkey.
Well, like when it's during the baseball scene and his bodyguard is like holding up reaction signs for what he's supposed to be doing.
Go follow the crowd.
Yes, I love
Distance
that.
yourself.
Like, that gag is funny.
Yeah,
like that's funny to me. That moment's a good moment. But then his vocal reactions, which. I mean, let's be honest, about a third of this movie is just the characters making weird noises.
Oh, man!
Yeah. Even Zach Braff, it's just a lot like, huh? Like, it's just it's a lot of that is what this movie is. It's just vocal reactions to things.
I think what the people are asking for, Jeff, is for you to make a supercut of just reaction noises of Chicken Little.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
You got Wallace Shawn snuck
do.
in there. I love Patrick Warburton has a tiny little cameo in there as
He just shows up as the alien cop at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey, Patrick Warburton, how you doing? And you're gone.
Yeah.
And then of course, okay, we cannot forget. We have to mention Adam West.
Yes.
As Hollywood Chicken Little. TC, I'm not gonna
call
lie.
him Ace.
I would watch the crap out of that movie that they played at the end.
if they released that Chicken Little.
Yes. Just completely campy, over the top, purposefully cheesy one. Like going into that movie knowing this is not supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Just run. Oh man, I would love that so much.
I
would have a blast watching that movie.
I'm curious if they had committed more to a specific era. Like if they wanted to be in the 90s, they should have gone all in maybe. But going, I don't know, I think of something like Iron Giant is a period piece. It's set in the Cold War era America, and to have like a campy B movie like that, if that could be reflected in the era it came out in, maybe if Chicken Little was set more in a more timely period instead of trying to be contemporary, that would have enhanced the film as well. We always do. We always do fantasy rewrites, don't we?
We do. That's what we do. TC, we're writers. This is what we
can't
do.
help it. Yeah.
But I would agree. I mean, like the film already, like just like the locale and the setting and the, you could even kind of argue, except for the fact that all the kids in the high school have flip phones that they pull out when the teacher walks away, which I did make a note. It was like, oh, they got that thing right. Except nowadays the kids would just have been on their phones the entire time during gym.
And they wouldn't have called their friends. They would have started texting their friends.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been a scene where they would have all just flipped out or pulled out their phones and it would have just been silent and just that's all they would have heard.
That last bit with Adam West doing the fake movie or like the movie within the movie, I like the joke that cracks me up is where Runt is saying the lines of dialogue with his counterpart on the screen. Just leave me some ammo and a bag of chips. And then he just leans over to Fish and goes, "This is surprisingly accurate." Like that's funny.
Oh, and I like that Fish in the movie is like super brain smart and speaks kind of like a Leonard Nimoy-esque like vibe to him. I kind of got like a Spock vibe.
Oh right.
In
Just like the fake
in
Chicken
the movie
Little
within the movie. Yep,
Captain,
yep.
The problem is,
like I kind of dug that. Like, why did you give him a voice?
I didn't dig what they did with Abby, not just in the fake movie where they just turned her into the Ace Abby,
right.
Ace Abby. Even what they did to her in the film itself, where once Chicken Little kisses her, she's just swooning the rest of the movie.
Right.
It felt to me like a contrived way of removing her from the action, so it could just be Chicken Little and his dad.
Because they basically at that point it feels like they wrote themselves into a corner.
Yeah, they concluded
that
that B plot of her having a crush on Little was finished, so they were like, okay, work the pedals, Abby.
Yeah. Instead of maybe just like pulling her back a little bit and having her help again during that final climactic moment, and then after that, maybe have it be have it be a little more subtle. Have it be more of like, thanks for helping and like kiss, like a peck on the cheek or something like that, or something. Not just don't make her just be love struck for the last 10 minutes of the film.
She's the only main female character in the movie, and I felt like they dropped the ball on what they did with her in the end. She was a good counselor. Like she plays the mentor-esque character to Chicken Little through the course of the movie, and then to write her off like they did in the end was a little disappointing. Just do better, Disney. Treat your female characters better.
Oh, wait, TC, hold on one quick second here.
Yeah.
Apparently, in 2006, there was a PS2 game called Chicken Little Ace in Action.
Oh, you're gonna totally get that game, aren't you?
I'm gonna have to find it, guys. I'm kind of curious. Yeah, apparently it was. It's all based on Ace. It's based upon the movie within the movie. And it's compared to the Ratchet and Clank series, which
there you go.
Very intrigued by now, actually.
For those of you who still have PlayStation 2s or an emulator, you have a game to look forward to. But speaking of doing better, I didn't remember it happening, and when it started, I just was like, why are you doing a dance number for the credits? It just...
Oh, that's right, because very DreamWorks-y twist and turn of doing a dance number during the end credits.
I've complained about this before. I think I did it on the Brother Bear episode. But, like, why does that annoy me so much? I don't know why that annoys me so much, but it just feels cheap to throw the characters up there to sing and dance to a song you could possibly sing along to if you know Don't Go Breaking Your Heart or Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and to see them do wacky stuff as the credits roll. I feel like there's a better way to do that. And, at least they put them on a black backdrop while the credits were rolling as opposed to sticking them in the forest singing, and I saw her face, now I'm a believer. Like, I don't know why that.
Okay, but the end of Shrek though has them like singing a song and then stopping and then being like, "Let's do another one. Let's sing another," and just going like, okay.
I don't know why that bugs me so much because there is ways to do it well, or maybe not. Maybe I like the movie I'm thinking of just too much more that I'm letting it slide with something I dislike so much.
What's the movie you're liking? What are you?
It's another one in the library we get down the line. And
Okay, okay,
and
I
I will
gotcha.
have to come to terms with my feelings about that when we get there. So yeah, the dance credits.
I like how you talked yourself out of it too, like in the middle of thought. You're just like, well, maybe it's good. Maybe it's not good. Actually, hold on, give me a sec. You know what you were doing? You just became me for a little bit there, TC.
You're having a very brief but important conversation with the devil and the angel on my shoulders.
Yeah. And then this guy showed up, and then
Where
he
were
started
you?
talking.
Yeah,
Well,
stuck in traffic. Oh boy.
can we just go back and watch Emperor's New Groove?
Anytime, Jeff. Anytime. The next episode.
Every
Hey, we
three-
watched Emperor's New Groove again.
I was just gonna say, like every 3 or 4 episodes, we just rewatch Emperor's New Groove. I feel like we've had this conversation, have we not? I feel like, oh man. So yeah, but the Chicken Little overall just, and unfortunately for me, it wasn't the movie I remember. And it's like I said, it wasn't
Right, okay,
horrible.
yeah.
It was not Home on the Range.
No.
I disagree. I feel like there are some people out there who think it's worse than Home on the Range. I definitely do not. I think this movie is a lot better.
Rewatch the both of them and then you decide, as we have decided.
As we have also. But it obviously, you could see that they were trying to figure out, we're definitely in the midst of this era of these Disney movies where they were trying to figure out who they are. Disney was kind of going through a midlife crisis. I mean, at this point, it's over, 50 years old?
Right, so this is
this point?
perfectly timed midlife crises.
Yeah.
It's more of an
60
identity
years old.
crisis.
Yeah. And so they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to figure out a way because the world around them, the animated world, the family movies around them, even Hollywood around them changed, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to play catch up, but they don't understand what's working, and they're trying just anything they can and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's what aided in this film, just kind of feeling like this hodgepodge of so many different types of movies and genres and plot points.
If we look at the history of this library, it's having the captain, the person in charge to make the tough decisions, to help the overall narrative quality of the movies. You had Walt Disney for 30 years, right? When you go from Snow White to around 101 Dalmatians Jungle Book era. And he was the decision maker. He was the voice. Sure, they had, you had Roy Disney and you had other people involved in the making of those films, but when it came down to it, he was captain of that ship. And after he was gone, we saw this rocky period of who's making the decisions here. We're all infighting. Nobody has a clear sense of what's going on. Katzenberg came in, him and Eisner, they really mixed things up. But as soon as they found their voice and how to inject that into Disney with the assets they had, and that's how we got the Renaissance. And now we're in this era where there's no one leading, guiding this ship, and that's why it's so important to this collection of films that you have a voice like John Lasseter who's going to come in, and you will see the effects of having that key figure in place on the movies that we then get. For better or for worse, right? You can just having a voice is important. Whether or not you agree with what that voice is saying, that's a matter of taste when you're watching these movies. But right now, to me, and as you referenced, Jeff, there's clearly a weird identity crisis thing happening here with these films, and I definitely think it's that they don't have that person in charge to make the tough decisions.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what these movies do once we know Lasseter got in charge.
Yeah,
I mean, I
once you see his
kind
hands,
of know, because it's funny because in we're only I guess we have 2 more episodes, and then we're back into the era of Disney that I started watching again. And
The
it's
modern
funny
era,
because the modern era, because that's about the time that Lasseter would have been already, those are the movies that he would have had a say in. And it's kind of funny how, oh look, Disney all of a sudden got better again. They kind of got away from these weird films, and now they're back into a decent new era of films. No matter how much you hate Frozen.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I had a conversation with a listener about that. That's not for this episode, but for maybe off mic or later. But as far as Chicken Little is concerned, I didn't have any strong memories of it to begin with. I had seen this before. The strongest memory I had for this is I hated the poster. And the poster was him with the Men in Black costume on with the sunglasses sitting in the egg. That poster ticked me off so much because it was so like that didn't make any sense. Why is this the thing? Okay, I guess maybe because there's aliens involved. It just felt like, hey, here's something you'll recognize. Come see our movie, please.
Yeah, exactly. But even so, okay, because so it's him sitting in the chairs. Now, isn't that I'm actually sorry. I'm Googling it right now just to verify. I think that's, because that was the poster for Men in Black 2.
Yeah, and there's
was them sitting in the eggs.
Right.
And the egg chairs.
The egg chairs are from Men in Black. It's just a stupid reference for them to waste their time
right
on.
there. But at the same time, if you look at how many 90s references this movie already gave, it's another 90s reference. So, of course it is. Like, it's okay when you think of it in that manner, but I completely agree. Mm-hmm. It's horrible because it's wait, stop it. Why? It doesn't make sense.
Aside from that one strong feeling I had about the movie, I wasn't necessarily ambivalent to it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. So rewatching it again, I had a pretty fresh perspective on it. I remembered the plot very thoroughly. I remembered the little aliens and whatnot. But appreciating
I'm glad you did.
I could appreciate the visual gags, the slew of visual puns. The ones that worked, I dug them. The jokes that didn't, I rolled my eyes at them. And I don't think we're in the same ballpark as Brother Bear when all we can say is it's fine, because I think there is a little bit more to this movie than that.
Yes, this movie is, and I guess that's kind of tipping our hand as to where we're ranking these movies, which we might as well go into. TC, of all the movies that we have watched so far, just so I could say it, where do you rank it on this list? Go.
Well, okay. So I walked away from it. I was trying to place it. I had a general idea of where I was going to put it on the list in terms of what we've watched in this block so far. And for those listening who might not know, if this happens to be one of your earlier episodes that you're listening to, we are watching these movies in series of 10, and we then rank the movies 1 through 10, so we don't have to rank the movies 1 through 56. So in this current block, this was our 6th movie in this chunk. Man, we're on the 6th one already.
I know, right? We're getting close to the end, TC.
Stop saying that.
No, I need to make sure everyone's aware we're almost done.
I thought that our conversation would help me. I figured it would help me solidify where I was going to place it. I have not moved it from where I put it on my list. It came down to, excuse me, it came down to if I popped this in or this in, which would I rather watch? And I knew Lilo and Stitch was going to stay on top. I've seen Treasure Planet too many times to bump it down. So it came down to Atlantis versus Chicken Little of where I was going to place it, because I liked it. Okay. I liked this more than Brother Bear, just for the fact that they're dumping every joke they can onto the screen, so there wasn't really too much downtime. Whereas Brother Bear, it drags in a spot, and it's certainly not Home on the Range. So it came down to, is this better or worse than Atlantis? And I'm going to put it below Atlantis. And make it my number 4 on the list so far, for many of the reasons we've discussed already, as well as putting it above the other two in also the things we've discussed already. I think that it got some stuff right, but it didn't get enough right for me to put it any higher in my list. So I'm now wondering, have we still matched our lists, or have we finally broken the system? Jeff, where do you rank it in the movies we've watched so far?
We broke the system.
Oh, okay. Oh boy. Let's see where you're gonna put this.
But here's the thing. Not by a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, actually, no, that's a complete and utter lie.
Oh no. Go ahead. What do we got?
Not by a ton. I personally no, actually, no, that's a lie. It's not by a lot. I'm putting it at my number 3. I'm putting it above Atlantis. Just because
so close here.
I know, right? But for very similar reasons as what you said. First off, Home on the Range is still, despite it being, I guess now number 6 on our list, Home on the Range is still number 10 on this list. I do not think anything is going to be worse than Home on the Range, though we still have 2 more movies that I have not seen on this list that could very well change. But for me, it comes down to, I really did much like what you said. I liked a lot of the visual gags in it, and despite the fact that the film is kind of all over the place and that there's these weird 90s nostalgia references in it, I did like the music. I did like the voice acting. The animation for it was done very well considering it's 2005.
Right.
You know, we're still very early because you got to think Toy Story had only been out for 10 years at this point, but when this movie went into production, it was, you know, less than that. You know, we're so early in it, and there's definitely moments in the film where I'm looking at it going, ooh, that lighting looks like Toy Story lighting. Like, it was a little off. It was missing something. That's the technical side of me, and I went to school for this sort of thing. So it's like I have to see it. That's what I was taught to look for. But it was still fun. I liked a bunch of like kind of more of the rapid fire jokes. I liked more of the visual gags. Like, again, the bird and the bowl in the china shop that was entirely in the background outside of the car during a conversation between Chicken Little and his dad. Like, that's the part you're supposed to be paying attention to. Meanwhile, there's this weird gag in the background happening. Like, there's little things like that I know. You're disagreeing with me.
No, I'm not
TC,
disagreeing with you.
it.
I'm agreeing with you, which now is leading me to question if I've misplaced my movie. Because now it's...
No, but see... Yeah, go ahead.
Because now it's a matter of... Stop it!
Ahead.
Now it's me sitting there imagining watching Atlantis sitting next to you or Chicken Little sitting next to you. And I feel like our sense of humor is so similar that if we were watching Chicken Little, we would have a more enjoyable time than if we were watching Atlantis. So, oh man, have I ever bumped?
TC, is this? I was just gonna say, is this the first like you're changing your review? You can still change it. I think we've done this one time.
I think I've done this once before where you convinced me.
Yeah.
After your
and I think and also I think it's been vice versa. I think we've done it where I've given mine and you've convinced me
to
and
switch it.
I think the rule has always been as long as we do it before the end of the episode, it still counts.
To lock it into place.
we can't change it after the episode is recorded.
Okay, so let me figure this out.
Okay.
Let's work this out loud so all the listeners can experience this conflict with me. If someone said, you know, hey, sit down, watch one of these two movies,
I would watch Chicken Little.
Yeah. I'm working on me, Jeff. This is me.
I know. I'm just maybe I can help you.
If I had to
TC.
watch it alone, I think Mike Mignola's artwork. I love that. I really like that final action sequence in Atlantis.
That's
If
true.
I was watching it with anyone, I just think it'd be more fun to watch Chicken Little. Dang it, Jeff! You're making me change.
But again,
You know what this problem is, Jeff? I can't commit.
What?
I'm having a problem committing 100% on where. And that's the end of the episode, everybody. That's called a bookend. Thank you for listening.
Yep, that's what happens. We find that happy bookend, and whatever our ending is supposed to be, forget it. We don't care. We're bookending the show now, guys.
And stubbornly, there's that
And
small part of me
stubbornly.
that's like, I want our lists to maintain the same. It's so close. This is one of those situations where it's a
close.
fraction between. You know what? Forget it. Hammond and Hahn. People don't need to hear me listen to me babble on about this. I'm keeping the list the same. I'm putting Chicken Little above Atlantis, but only by a little and with an asterisk. I don't care.
See, and that's perfectly okay because as we've discussed this before, that so many of these movies, we rank them in a way where it comes down to that deciding factor. If I was given the choice of watching this one or this one, which one would I watch? Well, yeah, if you're by yourself, you might watch Atlantis, but if you're with a group of people watching, you throw in Chicken Little, which means that they are basically the same position.
They have the same score,
but there's the same score except there's an asterisk of depending upon the situation. Like that's kind of just there's a tiny little like not descriptor, but yeah.
Little caveat. Well,
caveat,
would
thank
you?
you.
Speaking of watching this with people, I think this is perfect for little kids. I think that this is one of those
absolutely.
movies. Pop it in. It's distracting enough and enjoyable enough that I don't think any adult would be offended if a kid wanted to keep watching this.
What's nice about it is that because the type of, again, in my head, the type of film shifts. So I'm actually giving a plus to the fact that the type of movie changes so constantly. It works
ADD.
in favor of of like a modern generation where we have a short attention span. It's a different movie every 10 minutes, so you never get bored. It's not a father-son,
Coming of
like
age
bonding
movie,
movie the entire film. It's not an alien film the entire movie. It's not a high school movie the entire it keeps changing. And then once the aliens show up, it's so weird and ridiculous that you're just like, I have to keep watching. I don't know what I've been watching for the last half hour, but now there's a little Furby, because we didn't bring up Furby. There's a tiny
does
little,
look like a little alien, little cutesy little alien. Man,
little cutesy little alien.
They certainly thought that was going to be a doll everyone wanted.
Oh, you can tell. And I like that. And we, you know what, real quick, sidetrack, didn't mention about the voice actors, but the people who do the voice of the parents of Kirby. Sorry, I called it Furby. It's Kirby.
Yeah.
But the parents are Catherine O'Hara and Fred Willard. Which is just like...
That's amazing. Catherine O'Hara, another SCTV alum, if you want to go back to the McKenzie brothers from last week. And then Fred, both of them being Christopher Guest's go-to part of his troupe.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. A fun little small part.
For 5 minutes in the movie, when it turns out that the big bad aliens are actually just parents that were looking for their kid. Yes. I love that so much. So, anybody want to use the big boom voice or big bad voice or whatever? Oh, it's just, I love that.
Use your big voice at me. Were there any tropes? Were there any tropes that you... there is at least two.
Right, the perpetually barefoot lead character.
Oh, I didn't think of that one.
I mean, he's a chicken.
It's true.
So he doesn't wear shoes, but that's a little thin.
Yeah.
Single parent of the protagonist.
Yep, single parent.
So we're going back to like the whole like we don't know what happened to the mom. Obviously something happened to the mom because wasn't there a photo of the family?
Yes, yeah.
I think in the house
they make reference to her being gone and the sadness in Buck's voice appears to be that he lost her. Like, I wish she were still here. Yeah.
Those are the only two that I caught. Was there another one that you saw that I missed?
Kind of the Once Upon a Time book entry is sort of like a pseudo trope, but the fact that they address it, which I did say this is a great start to this new era of film in terms of the CG, but it's also just that opening is a nice way to put to rest the classic fairy tales. Not to put them rest, put them down for a nap because they will be back.
kind of approaching it in the manner of that was kind of the old us.
Yeah,
we're not doing that anymore. Let's move on. Yep.
Well, let's. I know it's not a trope, but I always feel it's worth mentioning exposition through newspaper. It's a very rare thing that happens nowadays. But you watch older movies.
It needs to happen in more films.
Exposition through newspaper is a classic cinema technique that I don't feel is used enough anymore. Mostly because print is dead, Jeff.
Print is dead. Now, the Harry Potter films did a really good job in like the later films.
Yes.
They always have kind of like those montage moments where it's, especially I think during Order of Phoenix, I think is when they really start doing it, where they have those like the cameras like moving through all the newspaper articles, kind of telling you the passage of time. Like that's a kind of a nicer, kind of a cooler, newer way of doing it.
Yeah. Exposition through newspaper is a very tried and true technique.
Man, we need to write something where we have exposition in newspaper because I would just love to include. What I want to do though is I would want to do the old school like spinning newspaper that just stops like upright, just it tells you the newspaper article.
Some punny title, yeah.
Yes,
headline.
Absolutely.
Well, let's see what the listeners have to say. I'm going to go over to Facebook.com/TopShelfPod. Every Monday before we record, we throw up the episode that we're going to be discussing and ask for any questions or comments you might want to discuss. These episodes go up every Wednesday, and you can head over to the Facebook page to comment on what we may have missed or your thoughts on our reactions to the film in general. I feel like there's a split on how people are going to feel about our overall. Yep. I don't think we certainly did not tear this apart like we did last week, which was very fun. Not that I want to go into a movie and eviscerate it, but we had a good time not liking Home on the Range last week.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like ripping apart films, but we ended last week's recording, and I felt just so good. I was like, that was so much fun. I re-listened to the episode, and I found myself just enjoying our own conversation. I'm not, I don't have a big head or anything. Yeah. I enjoyed last week's episode, but it won't happen all the time. Trust me.
Yeah, sometimes episodes ends, and at least one of us goes, could have done better. Anyway, we're heading over to the comments section for Chicken Little. We've got a good handful here. So first up, Natasha, thank you for listening. Despite popular opinion, this is one of my favorites. I like the beginning with the different openings, the randomness, puns, fish out of water, and Kirby is just adorable.
Yes.
And Natasha,
I will say Kirby is adorable.
Yeah.
That's an absolute agreeing, yes.
You might not find that you agreed with us over the past hour, but you might find that we did agree with you on nearly everything you said right there. The different openings, the randomness, the puns, fish out of water. But thank you for the comments. Thomas, one of our devoted listeners, says, it's a question here. Would you say with Chicken Little and Ella Enchanted that Jeffrey Katzenberg had the last laugh between him and Disney? No, Ella Enchanted is the Anne Hathaway live action
movie, right?
Tale.
Okay.
I don't know if last laugh, like, certainly DreamWorks came out of the gate running and really became some hard competition for Disney. And Disney is certainly trying to play catch up right now with the movies that they're releasing. But I don't know if Jeffrey Katzenberg would laugh, because Chicken Little and Ella Enchanted were both financial successes, whereas a lot of the movies that DreamWorks was releasing were breaking even, right?
Right.
So
they were doing okay, basically.
Although I do think that what Thomas is saying, and he'll correct us when this episode goes up, but I think, Thomas, what you might be saying is that Disney is trying to do what DreamWorks is doing, right? So Katzenberg, see, so my ideas weren't so bad. Maybe you should have left me in charge. Although, it's worth wondering, if Katzenberg had stayed, what would have happened? Like, would the types of DreamWorks movies we got, like Prince of Egypt and Shrek and Road to El Dorado, those movies that he made outside the Disney umbrella? Okay, you can argue Shrek, and you can argue points on all three of those movies, but are they Disney good? And I don't mean I just mean Disney in general, like not this era, because you could argue that those three movies are better. Well, definitely better than Home on the Range, but.
So are you asking, like, would those have been made under the Disney banner?
Yeah, if Katzenberg was left in charge, is that what we could have expected from the Disney library? And if that's the case, I don't know if we would have continued to see Renaissance level films, because honestly, and I know I'm super biased because you've heard me complain about DreamWorks and Katzenberg ad nauseum. I don't think. I don't even know what I was going to say. I was just going to insult him again. So,
insert General Katzenberg insult here. Well, I think it is important to point out that, like, had he stayed on, would they have? Obviously, I doubt that they would have put Lasseter in charge.
No, gosh, no.
He would not have been able to call the shots. I feel like Katzenberg would have stuck on, would have brought, would have done stuff, would have slowly started churning the company, because I'm sure he would have gone like, hey, look, none of the stuff we've been doing lately is working. We got to try a new direction. Let's go this. This is what we want. This is what we want to do. You're gonna have to listen to me. And he's just going to start pushing out movies like Shrek and movies like those would have been the new direction, which then brings up the question of, would there ever have been a Frozen? Would there have been
I don't know.
those types of Disney films?
I think what happened is because Katzenberg took DreamWorks and was trying to compete against what Disney was doing, what he had been doing. We got the movies that DreamWorks initially created. And then their push towards CG was in the wake or around the time that Pixar was coming up. And so then DreamWorks stopped competing with Disney and started competing against Pixar. And, this is all hypothetical, but if Katzenberg had stayed at Disney and continued to try to do whatever he would try to do, Pixar still would have come up. Like, Pixar was still, they wouldn't have had that Disney money, but they were owned by ILM originally, right? They were their own thing. And Disney still at this point doesn't own them. They distribute them. So Pixar would have came up, and then Disney itself would have started competing with Pixar, and we probably would have got Shark's Tale competing against Finding Nemo, and Monsters vs. Aliens competing against Monsters, Inc. So,
because what would have happened was that this is a very I'm liking this.
We're looking into an alternate dimension right now.
Right, because what would have happened was at the time that Disney bought Pixar, when that happened, their contract was up. Their distribution contract was done, was going to be done with Disney. So more than likely, had Katzenberg stayed on, the contract would have come up. Pixar probably would have gone, hey, you guys know what? We're good. Would have done... kind of, and I know Marvel is owned by Disney, I get that, but like would have kind of gone the route of like a Marvel Studios where it went, hey, we can do our own thing, thanks,
Yeah,
peace,
thanks anyway.
and just started being their own. Pixar released films. It would not have been a Walt Disney and Pixar. It would have just been Pixar.
Yeah.
They would have just done, they would have become their own full-fledged studio and distribution studio and would have started releasing those movies by themselves.
And we might have been looking at an era, a Pixar, in this alternate dimension we're looking at. We might have been looking
I'm liking
at
this Earth 2 dimension, guys. This is great. I like
Pixar
this.
that wouldn't do sequels. Because Lasseter coming in and saying no sequels and them wanting, if you look at WALL-E and Inside Out and Coco, like the movies that are wholly original, those are the superior films. I know Toy Story, the original three Toy Stories is one of the most perfect trilogies ever created, but they're still part of the sequel machine. And if Pixar and Earth 2 was its own entity, I wonder if we would have seen sequels. They probably, as soon as Katzenberg and Disney figured out how to compete and started like body checking them against the wall, then Pixar would have been like, maybe we better do a second Cars.
Right. I mean, we would have still had Toy Story 2 because that was the late 90s. That was like 99, 2000 when that one came out. So we would have still had that sequel, but whether or not we would have had Toy Story 3, and then definitely not Cars 2, definitely not Monsters University. We wouldn't have had any of those sequels. You wouldn't have had, well, you might have still had a Finding Dory because Ellen was huge on pushing that one through.
Really, gosh, we're set with this all like we're down the rabbit hole here. I think that like, despite Ellen being huge and Dory being a great character, I think they would have just came up with something new and been like, hey, we're gonna do the good dinosaur. Ellen voiced the dinosaur, right?
Yeah, true. They would have just given her another character to voice.
Well, so look at the conversation you created, Thomas, by your question.
Now, did we answer your question?
I don't know. Here's a great comment from Wyatt, one of our other long-term listeners.
I read this
one. This movie is an affront to human decency and intelligence, among other things. I almost considered not leaving a comment, but I couldn't resist. Chicken Little is one of those films where you can't help but question whether or not the filmmakers had any respect for their audience. If Home on the Range was a test for Disney to make DreamWorks quality films, then this film may as well have been a huge neon sign boasting, "Hey, we're Disney. We can be hip with it. We make movies for the cool kids too." If there was ever a film to illustrate a studio's need to get that green ASAP, Chicken Little is definitely near the top of the list. Screw this movie. Dang, Wyatt, you do not like this movie.
Now, as we've all said on this podcast before, everybody, you all have your opinions.
Oh, sure, yeah. This is.
I mean,
he supports
you're wrong, but
no. He's fine. He's verging into hyperbole. He's just messing with you, Wyatt.
I'm just messing with you, Wyatt.
Wyatt, what he was saying is anyone who says Home on the Range is a good movie, they're wrong.
True. That movie is horrible. And the one kid out there whose dreams I crushed last week, I'm sorry.
I love those cows. Look.
But those cows are terrible.
Wyatt, I hope listening to our conversation here kind of gave you a little more insight into why Chicken Little exists as it does. I'm not going to fault you for hating this movie because maybe with a more cynical mindset when I sat down to watch the movie today, I probably would have been more annoyed. Because how you go into a movie is going to affect how a movie affects you. You know what I'm saying, Jeff. So I can perfectly understand your annoyance with this movie, and this isn't one I'm going to rush out to watch again.
No, I think
unless I watch it with Jeff, which is why I've ranked it where I've ranked.
Which is why you ranked it where you ranked it the first time, TC. There was definitely no going back and changing that opinion. I've watched this. This is honestly, I know I watched it a couple of times after this movie came out, and this is 2005. I think I watched it like after I graduated college, so I think sometime around like 2007, 2008. Yeah. And I watched it a couple times then, but I know I have not seen this movie in almost 10 years. And I watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is not what I remembered it being. But it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't as good as I remember it being, and I'm good for another 10 years. Okay, good. I'll just listen to the soundtrack. Correction, I'll just listen to the Bare Naked Ladies and the Fly for Fighting song.
Funnily enough, I just noticed Evan commented below, and he says, This one is so much worse than Home on the Range. Rarely have I ever seen a movie that felt so desperate. What?
Evan, were you the kid I disappointed last week? Oh no! Oh guys, I know he found me. Oh no!
Jeff. Okay, let's try to
I
be.
gotta run away.
Let's just back up the train here and think about this, Jeff. Let's really just take a moment to compare Chicken Little to Home on the Range. And I think we did this. We already kind of discussed this over the quality of this. And Evan and Wyatt, you guys, I perfectly understand your opinions. I'm not disagreeing with you, though we are disagreeing. I'm not like you're wrong. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. But when I look at Home on the Range from a technical standpoint versus Chicken Little from a technical standpoint, when I look from a narrative standpoint as well, like. Obviously, big picture, you can put them side by side and make your decision. But to look at the death of 2D animation with Home on the Range and the birth of CGI with Chicken Little, just from that level right there, the quality is better in Chicken Little, in my opinion.
Right. Right.
It's a very weak entry to the beginning of this era. But man, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. I know that's a backhanded compliment, but.
It could have been a lot worse, but what's nice is that because I know what's coming, I know it does get better.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we like, and I'm pretty sure we can all, even, all the listeners, and then you and me both can agree with this. We know it gets better.
Yeah.
We know what's coming down the line, and that this is just the start, and I can appreciate what they were attempting to do while trying to figure out what they were doing, basically, because you can clearly see it in Chicken Little. That is, like we said before, they just didn't know what they were doing, and they were trying to do stuff.
They were getting,
and I can give them merits for that.
How about this? I just thought of this now. Home on the Range, Chicken Little. Which would make the better riff tracks? I think Home on the Range would make the better riff tracks.
Home on the Range,
because it is so ripe to be mocked. Whereas as Chicken Little, to be, I'm being negative on both these, but to be more honest with. Oh, man, should Atlantis be above Chicken Little? Okay. With Chicken Little...
TC, you have about 5 minutes to change your opinion, and then the show's done. Is it going to be like, as we're fading out, you're going to be like, wait, no, Atlantis is above it. And that's how we end the show.
Anyway.
You're changing it, aren't you?
I am. I'm changing it in my head right now. It doesn't matter. Lilo and Stitch is still number one. Home on the Range is still the bottom.
Lilo and Stitch is still number one.
I think Home on the Range would make the better riff tracks because of how ripe it is to be mocked, whereas Chicken Little is just ripe to be have your eyes rolled at it. Is that a very cynical way to describe
that's a good
the two
way.
movies?
Yes, because in Home on the Range, I fully believe that none of those jokes landed. Not a single, like barely anything in that movie worked.
Except when Patrick Warburton.
This movie, except for Patrick Warburton, yes. And then again, the was it the pigs that said "kill the goat" or the ducks that said, that was funny. But in my head, that's the only time I laughed at that movie. This movie, there was at least there was a little bit of a heart in one spot. There was some funny sight gags that worked. There was some funny jokes that worked. I'm saying some because I'm well aware this movie is not Emperor's New Groove level of perfect.
No,
in my head, like where it's just like every joke is like lands perfectly. Like it's not that by a long shot, which is why it's not our number one. Yeah. Like it's still kind of middle of the list right now.
Yeah, because we don't have any breakouts. Lilo and Stitch is so high above everything else at this point that everything else is kind of and then Home on the Range is so down. Okay,
it's funny that we have such a high and such a low on our list right now. It's going to make this next couple of movies interesting.
I have 2 tweets that I could hit. Do you have any tweets this week?
I do not. However, I had a couple people who liked my posts in regard to the posting, but unfortunately, no actual. You can
Twitter Pate at Jeff at Random Bell, and you can get me at TC's Big Head if you want to tweet questions at us that we can hit up at any point, or just engage us in conversation if that's your method of social media. I also have a personal theory that I wanted to bring up.
Ooh, okay.
Let me hit the comments first, and then I'll do a theory. So first. This is a comment from the future, Jeff. This is a tweet from the future, and I don't know how it made its way through time and space to get here now, but the tweet says
that's the doctor,
I guess. But the tweet is Jeff. Penny Marshal is Gary Marshal's sister.
Ah, really? I always thought it was his I always thought it was his daughter.
Yeah, there you go. That's not a real tweet.
You waited till now to correct me on that.
I couldn't find any way to like crowbar it in. I didn't want to do right. Okay, here's a real tweet.
You realize that there's already comments in the Facebook section.
They can
saying
delete
I'm
it now.
wrong.
They can delete it now. Go delete your comment. Okay, so this is a tweet from. This is semi-related. So this came from a conversation of if you could exist, like take yourself as you are now and go into a fictional world, which fictional world would you go into? This was a tweet comment thread I was having with a friend, Jim. And, Harry Potter, Star Wars, Game of Thrones. Why would you want to go there? I don't know. So there's
It feels like a lot of incest and death in that world. I don't want to do that one, thanks.
So I posited this question. I was just going back and forth with some friends, and Jim said if he could insert himself into any fantasy world as he is now, the world that would be the best to go into would be the busy world of Richard Scarry. Do you know what the busy world of Richard Scarry is?
I do not. I apologize.
Go ahead, Google it real quick. I bet you do.
Yeah, I am right now.
I bet you do. It's the children's book series. He did this just.
Oh, yes, I do
there
know
you go.
this. Okay, sorry. I had to look at the images
Of course,
in order for me to know what this is. Okay, yeah.
So to transplant yourself into that world and become an animal and exist, it's the most pleasant, wonderful world you can exist in. And the reason I bring it up for this episode is because Chicken Little is essentially a hyper 90s-esque version of the busy world of Richard Scarry.
Yeah, true. But, I guess we're on the topic. You know what world I want to be in?
What's
Waldo.
That? Waldo. You want to be? Why would you want to be some random person who's not Waldo?
Because I can disappear into the crowd and no one looks for me.
Jeff, I would search for you, Jeff. Where's his other shoe? Okay,
but you would, except for the fact that I would not be wearing a red and white striped jacket because that's stupid. Apparently, everybody in that world wears very similar outfits.
Well, the reason I brought that up anyway is just because it kind of lended itself to Chicken Little, but it does go to my theory. Chicken Little is nothing but animals. Now, if you save for that one clip of Raiders of the Lost Ark, could this be the same universe as Robin Hood and Zootopia?
Oh, okay.
That is my question.
I remember we were discussing this way back. I think when we did Robin Hood.
Yeah, when we did Robin Hood, it was someone had asked if we thought Zootopia was connected to Robin Hood, and it's a great theory because it fits.
Right.
It 100%. The fact that they designed a lot of the characters in Zootopia after the designs in Robin Hood, all the evidence is there to connect the two worlds. When someone asked that question, I was like, yeah. Oh, man. No, I remember the tweet. Someone had asked us if we wanted a third movie in this universe. I started to say yes, and then I went, oh, wait, there already is one, and I was assuming it was Chicken Little. So
it's Chicken Little and Zootopia.
Could Chicken Little exist in the Robin Hood Zootopia universe?
I think, honestly, I think that's a fully real. That's possible because so we were discussing. I remember back with Robin Hood, like, okay, so the Robin Hood movie took place back in medieval times. It's that world. It's we'll call it Earth 3 since we've already established a second Earth in this week's episode. But Earth 3, where animals are its own, it's a world full. It's a world just like our world, except animals inhabited it instead.
I just figured out a rationale for Indiana Jones. I figured out why there'd be a human up on the screen. Why that would exist. Because we are a bunch of humans watching anthropomorphic animals on the screen. Why wouldn't the reverse of that in an animal world be seeing humans up on the screen? Right?
So does that mean that in that world there are humans, but wait, is this like the Planet of the Apes world where humans are actual animals? Like they're all mute?
Did it! Damn you! All the hell!
See, now TC, that means that we are back on Earth 1.
Well, there we go,
You
Jeff.
just negated Earth 3, TC.
That's
no, I do. I think that's a logical. I think we could argue that yes, that Robin Hood took place back in the medieval times on that planet, and now with Chicken Little very much so could be on that same Earth, but just in the 90s, since there are so many, like late 90s, early 2000s, since there are so many references to that era.
Yeah.
And then Zootopia is just
in the 2000s.
a little further into the future. Like, I think that's a totally viable theory. I'm And that's the animal world that is separate from the like Pixar theory world of like like Toy Story and all that. Like this is Disney's own connective universe.
We need a chart. I think it has to happen. But I think that does it. I've hit all my notes. I don't know if you've hit all your notes.
I've hit all mine as well. And basically it just this movie was Chicken Little was interesting. It was not the movie I remembered, but I still was okay with it. Mm-hmm. It's not just fine, as we've previously discussed, but for Brother Bear. But there are some merits to this film that you can kind of give it a little bit of leeway and just be like, all right, okay, they tried.
Yeah,
they tried. Maybe that's my new one. Our T-shirts should be. Our T-shirts need to just be.
It's fine.
It's fine. And then another one that just says they tried.
All right. So again, you can hit us up on Twitter at TC's Big Head, at Random Bell. Hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/TopShelfPod. What are we watching next week, Mr. Jeff?
All right, guys. Well, next week we skip to 2007 for the number 47th movie on our list. I think this is a sci-fi film.
Mm-hmm.
Question mark? I'm just going to keep talking uphill like this and everything I say.
I know what it is. I didn't look
because I have not seen this movie. Mm-hmm. The next two are ones I have never seen and had no desire to see, and now I have to for the sake of this podcast. Yeah. The 2007, again, CG animated film Meet the Robinsons.
So,
and I have no idea what this is.
Don't look up anything. Go in cold. I'm not going to say anything.
TC, I've looked at the poster.
Okay. That's fine.
There's a dinosaur on the poster. There's a weird-looking flower thing on the poster, and there's alfalfa. I'm confused, guys. Okay.
Oh man, let's see.
I'm looking forward to this. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect in this one. So.
Meet the Robinsons is up on Netflix right now.
Yes, it is. Just like Chicken Little was for this week's. Meet the Robinsons is up on there. Bolt is not. Actually, Bolt and Princess and the Frog, neither one of those are up online anywhere right now. You have to buy them on Amazon, but at least Meet the Robinsons are. So please, everybody out there, watch them with us and then join in the conversations.
Yeah, so...
I beat everything you were going to say, TC.
That's fine.
You have all the goodbye stuff. I wanted to have something to say. I can't help it.
All right, so I'm surprised we got so much mileage out of Chicken Little today. So thank you for the comments and everything, everybody.
And in all fairness, we were about 90% on track with our 100% certain commitment, and then we basically had we developed two alternate Earths in the course of this episode.
It's been a fun adventure this time. So
it's been a very fun adventure. Well, for signing off from Earth 5, I'm Jeff, and
I'm TC. So I'll do the sign off here. This was a podcast. We were the Oh, man. See, I'm all flabbergasted now. Okay, let me try it again.
Because I threw you off because I signed off from Earth 5.
I suddenly realized you were on Earth 5, and I wondered what that whole existence was. This has been a podcast. We've been the people you're listening to, and this is me putting Atlantis above Chicken Little. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Oh, what at the end? I can't believe you're making me change that note again in my document. That is the latest we've ever changed a movie, TC. You should be proud. This has been a production of Ghost Hat Media, proud member of the Ghost Hat Network. Find them online at www.ghosthat.net.
I like the ending.